I'm Doug Johnson. I'm the Executive Director of the McLean County Arts Center, and we'd like to welcome you, at least online, to see a collection of works from our permanent collection. Every 3 years, typically in the summer, we'll have an exhibition of permanent collection works. This year, it's a little early for this, but because of artists having difficulty extracting their work from other institutions, we're using this opportunity to highlight some of those items. So while some members of our board and exhibition committee will talk more particularly about some of their favorite works that they've selected for this show, I want to talk just kind of broadly about the permanent collection, which is largely gifts that were given by members of the Art Center or members of the community from their own collections. And it serves really as a repository of the community's art history, and we're grateful for that. If you have artwork that you'd like to donate to the Art Center to receive documentation for tax credit or to share it with the broader community, we're happy to talk with you about the procedures in order to do that. This show has 19 works from the permanent collection, and amongst those artists are Grant Wood, James Wynn, Harold Greger, Rupert Kilgore. I'd like to talk about the Grant Wood piece, which is a hand-colored lithograph which was produced by Wood in 1939. Most of us know Grant Wood from American Gothic and some of his other terrific regionalist artwork. This piece was Wildflowers was actually part of a diptych where there was a companion piece called Tame Flowers, and there's a lithograph, so it's hand-drawn on Bavarian limestone, and then he's gone back and colored it in. This work has a terrific history. Its provenance is notable in that it was given to us from Clarice Jefferson. A lot of people in town knew Clarice. She died a couple years ago, and my wife and I are very good friends with her. She donated this work to the Art Center that her mother had actually acquired. Her mother, Mary Ruffley, was born in 1904 in England and was a bit of a free spirit and had studied with Grant Wood in Iowa and had purchased this print directly from him. So when Clarice gave it to us for the Art Center, we were very excited to have this work. It's a terrific piece, and we encourage you to check it out in person because as nice as the photographs will be of it, it's something that is really to be experienced. Another piece is by James Wynn. Now, Jim Wynn lives up in Sycamore, Illinois, and he is an ISU graduate and studied with Harold Greger and Ken Holder, and is really one of the most notable landscape painters in the U.S. I personally am grateful to be a friend of Jim's, and this early work is just a wonderful, terrific piece. So I hope you're able to enjoy that as well. The Rupert Kilgore print we have is from the artist, and he was actually the chairperson of the art department at Illinois Wesleyan University until his death in 1971. So it's a terrific piece too. James Huddleston gave us the Chow Win Chin piece. Chow Win was a student at ISU, originally from China. Actually, Chow Win and I were friends during graduate school, so it's lovely to see this work again. So that's my brief overview. Now please enjoy these discussions of work that was selected by members of the exhibition committee. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Sheila Lamberson, and I'm on the board of directors here at the McLean County Art Center. I serve on a couple of committees, and I chair the exhibition committee. So the piece I selected to talk about is by an artist named Helen Heller, and the piece is called The Sugaring Off. It's a wood engraving, and that is kind of a relief in that the artist removes the wood. The white pieces that you see, the white areas are where the wood has been removed, and then the height area is where the ink is applied, and then a print is made from that. So this is a print from the wood carving that she did. I think I was drawn to this piece because it has a very bold presence, and part of it is the nature of the wood engraving, but also her use of strong black and white, and the lines and the repetition of the lines, which was very interesting to me, has a kind of a rhythm to it, and it's used to create the composition and define the spaces. I think one of the things that appealed to me too is that it's by a woman artist, and especially the time frame that this was done in. And historically, women have been underrepresented in the art field, and so that also appealed to me. I guess I would assume that this is a personal scene to the artist, and that maybe she came from a part of the country where this, you know, maybe the Northwest, I don't know, where I'm not familiar with the sugaring off process myself, but it's evident that it's very labor intensive, and I think very native to certain parts of our country. So I would assume that she might have a connection, and it would be interesting to know what that connection was.
Hi, I'm Debra Risberg, and I'm on the exhibition committee here at McLean County Arts Center. And there's two pieces by Keith Knobloch, and they're both about a little over 30 inches, and they're chalk drawings on paper. One is called Easy Chair Metamorphosis, and the other one is called Re-Entry, Re-Exit. And they both have some similar themes. Easy Chair Metamorphosis features an electric chair with the man sitting on the chair, but and it almost looks like he's got a lampshade on his head, maybe like the idiot of the party or something. I thought about Easy Chair Metamorphosis in the way that he pictured it here as that maybe the, you know, like retirement. Maybe that's because I'm retired, but sitting in that easy chair could be like death, you know, like a death sentence. And behind the man is another painting, like a landscape painting. And both of the images by Keith have paintings in the background, so they're like images within images. The other thing is, in Metamorphosis, you can't see his face, and so you think about when somebody dies, when somebody's in the electric chair, they cover the face because they don't want to see. I think it's more for the spectators. They don't want to see what that person's feeling, what they're going through. So I thought that was pretty interesting. The colors in both of these drawings are psychedelic, so they have a kind of a psychedelic feel, like 1960s, 70s. Also tones of surrealism, dream, subconscious imagery. The other painting is called Re-Entry, Re-Exit, and it looks like there's a group of like sarcophagi, is that what you call them? That they're almost like on a assembly line, and one of them has, it looks like there's like worms or something in it, and the other one has a liquidy substance in it. And I was thinking about the worms as regenerating the soil, and also this assembly line is like a road going somewhere, because there's a bridge that these like casket-like things go underneath. There's a image of a iris, and it's hung over this scene, kind of like a circus banner, which is kind of interesting way of displaying it. And the flower has both male and female characteristics. So it has a kind of a sexual energy, and it's both phallic and female at the same time. Again, it has this psychedelic sensibility in terms of the color, and it's hallucinatory to me. You know, it reminds me of hallucinatory imagery. So both paintings show us like worlds within worlds. They have a kind of surrealism with a psychotropic edge, I would say, and I find them very interesting. And I worked with Keith in the art department, and I remember him as just a very kind of quiet guy with always a warm smile, and kind of stayed in the background. So it was just before he and his wife left, after he retired, that I was able to get to know him a little bit and find out what an amazing, talented man he was. And in fact, their whole house, every square inch of it was a work of art. It was the most amazing place I've ever seen. So anyway, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about these images, and I hope you enjoy them.
Hi, I'm Judy Steffens. I'm here at McLean County Art Center. I'm on the exhibitions committee there at the center. The silkscreen print that MCAC has in their permanent collection is one of a limited edition of prints. There were, I believe, about 110 made. It was painted in 1993. So anyway, it's a really exciting piece, and if you ever get a chance to see it in person, I'm sure you're going to love it. The reason I selected that piece, it's kind of interesting. About a week before we were asked to look at photos of the permanent collection, I had read an article that referenced the Blue Dog painter, and I had no idea who the Blue Dog painter was. So I, of course, Googled that and discovered that the image of the blue dog is actually an iconic image that you would have seen. I'd seen it many times, but because I'd read a little bit about the background, I was even more intrigued. So I was really excited to see that that work was a part of the collection. I'm a figurative painter myself, and so figurative artwork always attracts me. And also there's something about bright colors, and the dog is a bright blue and it's against a purple and yellow background, and colors like that always attract me, and it's just a big, bold statement that I really liked. I like the fact that the dog has these piercing yellow eyes, and it's just staring out at you. It's kind of a fun piece. If you get a chance, you might want to read up a little bit on George Risberg and the Blue Dog. He was an artist from Louisiana. He was Cajun, and before he was doing the Blue Dog, he was doing paintings about his background in his hometown of Louisiana and the area and being Cajun. But he was doing paintings, illustrations for a book of ghost stories. And he was doing a painting for the loup-garou, which is like a werewolf type dog that will come take your children if they misbehave. And he was looking through his pictures and photographs and scraps and found a picture of his dog, Tiffany, that had passed away. It was an old photograph, and he used that photograph to paint the blue dog as the model. But he wanted to paint a painting at night because of werewolf, and so it was a black background. So he painted the coat kind of blue, as if moonlight was reflecting on it. And he said when the piece was hanging, he heard people talking about, oh, the blue dog, oh, the blue dog. And that just got him thinking, and it just went on from there. And he painted the blue dog in various forms for the next 20 years.
Since I've been here, and I've been in Illinois for 43 years now, since 1977. And we came up here, and I think in many ways I've never quite left Louisiana, or that's what people tell me on a regular basis. Having said that, came here, and one of the first places that I became involved with was the McLean County Art Center. And a delightful place, and it was a place that I called home for a considerable amount of time. When I'd go back to Louisiana, there was an artist there, George Roderick, that was doing some interesting things, and we first saw his work on I-55, actually I-10, I'm sorry, running east-west across the lower part of Louisiana, and saw his work and looked him up and stopped in later on, subsequently stopped in a gallery that he had in New Orleans, and met with personnel there and mentioned in a very casual way, it said, you know, how much exposure have you given to Louisiana? I mean, to Illinois, Midwest. I said, well, we actually have never done anything in the Midwest. And so it began with that, and eventually ended up in 1993 in a retrospective of George Rodriguez. BCPA, and you know, it was sort of there was some question about, first of all, how many people could we really attract? McLean County Arts Center at the time had never charged $25 per person for any event. And we just weren't certain that this was going to do it, but with a step of faith, I suppose, or whatever, we believed that, well, let's try. And so it was that trying, and I think the tickets were $25. That's what I remember, and I remember that being a kind of controversial thing, is that can we really? And we started analyzing and saying, well, we're going to feed them, and we're going to feed them, going to give them entertainment, and then some of it's simply, you know, do you really want to help the arts here? And so yes, it was at the BCPA, then Scottish Rite Temple, I guess is what it was. And how it looks today is not how it looked then. And I just remember walking downstairs in the space, and it was just, oh, so god awful large and dismal and not enough windows. And so we said, how can we make this place look a lot better than, or a lot different than it looks now? And so that was one of the big challenges, I think. And we just had to imagine that we could put enough people down there and get the music turned up and loud enough and enough lights to make it seem like an event. So that was the challenge. It was a significant challenge.
That's great. Well, this portion of the interview, I'm going to tag onto the video we have for our current show, which has one of the Blue Dog prints, which we're excited about. So that background helps a lot. And you were able to bring the artist here. I also understand you took a trip down to buy decorations or foliage or something.
Arden Nowers and Georgette Shoup were really involved in the Arts Center then, and I said, what all do you envision as part of the staging for the event? And they said, well, I said, I'll tell you what. I said, we could make a run down to Louisiana, get a van, make a run down to Louisiana, and I said, I'll get some Spanish moss and magnolia leaves, I think. And I didn't realize how strange it would be for them to see me climbing a magnolia tree and breaking off leaves. And if you bought these here locally, you could still get them at Growing Grounds, any number of places here that have Christmas decorations. But each one of those boughs of leaves are like $4 or $5, and I'm just climbing up there and just dropping and breaking these branches. And we filled up the back of the van, as I remember, and they got a lot of Spanish moss, and we were back off on our return trip to Bloomington. But I guess in retrospective here, it does seem, I know they've laughed a lifetime about Russel climbing up and the tree, but it seemed very, very, I seemed very at home climbing trees in Louisiana, so that was okay.